Introduction. There's a forested place in the Zuni Mountains of New Mexico, out in the middle of nowhere, where I've been going camping for at least 20 years. I used to take a lot of photographs, but this is the only campsite photo I've ever framed, and for years I've kept it near me on my desk. Red rock overlook and scraggly vegetation in the foreground, bluish-green mountains in the distance, and in the middle, a valley under a deep blue sky filled with puffy clouds. There isn't really anything special about this particular location. I just liked it. It makes me feel good there. I used to take my kids there, and now I visit it every once in a while, often by myself. Being in the mountains or the forest recharges me. So I go there to relax for a day, sometimes longer. On July 18th, 2009, I decided to camp up there overnight. I've never encountered any other people in the area, only bears and other animals. So I always took a gun with me. In fact, I've never gone into the wilderness without taking one. But while I was packing for the trip, I was about to get my gun when a telepathic message came through loud and clear. Don't do it! I had no idea why I wasn't supposed to take it, but needless to say, I left the gun behind. At the campsite that evening, I was sitting in a little chair, trying to finish the book I was reading about how to release discarnate spirits and send them to the light, something that I was already doing, but fully didn't understand. It was hot, and there was barely a breeze to disturb the peaceful nature of the place. That is, until a huge black Angus bull wandered into a meadow down in the valley, bellowing and bellowing, looking for some cows and calves, I supposed. I was raised on a farm and have been around farm animals all my life. I'd never heard a bull bellow as loudly and insistently as that one did, and I wondered why it was behaving that way. Before the bull had even shown up, I'd already been feeling a lot of extraordinary energy. I also suddenly felt cold and had to put on a long-sleeved shirt and a jacket, even though the temperature was nearly 80 degrees. The sun was setting, but there was still enough light to read by, so I went back to my book. When I glanced up briefly, I looked right back down again and said to myself, I didn't see that, and promptly forgot. But what I had seen standing out there in the meadow, staring at me and waiting, they were obviously waiting for me, were maybe 100 beings. They were not in human form, not even in physical form. I could only see them from about mid-thigh up. I couldn't see them touching the ground. It was as though they were manifesting just enough of themselves to make me aware of them. Somehow, I managed to convince myself I had not seen them. I was nearly at the end of the book, so I continued reading until I finished the book, and until the sun went down, and I couldn't read any more anyway. I didn't give the startling vision another thought. Sometime around 9 o'clock, I closed the book, looked up, and said, "Oh my God." These beings had filled the entire meadow, as if they were an audience waiting for a rock concert to begin. They just stared at me. Nobody even waved a hand. Then it dawned on me that it was the book I'd been reading that had called them in, and they read my thoughts. Let's go to the light. It's time to go to the light. And somehow, I knew exactly what to do. My guides led me through it. I stood up and declared the holy ground. Then I created a vortex, which is like a swirling shaft of light, but more powerful. And these beings started going up into the vortex. As I continued to hold the vortex open, I heard the message, "They're coming from 30 miles around." So I called them in. Anybody else? Anybody else? After most of them had gone, I happened to look up about 30 feet in the air, and there was another one heading straight for that vortex, floating through the trees in a running position. As soon as he got to the vortex, he went straight up too. When we were finished, I asked my guides how many were there, and they said 2,000, which shocked me, but seemed about right for the numbers I was sensing. When they were all gone, I asked who were they? The guides only gave me a one-word answer: ancients. Not the ancients, but ancients. I had no idea what they meant, and I still don't. Maybe they were Anasazi ancients, or maybe ancestors of the Anasazi. I guess that's not something I need to know. But even now, I feel some of the discarnate's appreciation at being able to go to the light, finally, after all this time. Later, I realized that if I had taken my gun with me, this probably wouldn't have happened. They wouldn't have shown themselves to me. That wasn't the kind of energy that was needed for this particular mission. A mission I didn't even know I was going out there to accomplish. That was the first time I created a vortex, and I'm not sure who was helping me then. I didn't yet know the Arcturians, but perhaps they were already guiding me.